Well, my job in the program is just to talk about the next 20 years, our vision. And what I'm really going to do is talk about where we are now and the next steps we feel like we need to take to make sure that 20 years from now we're still celebrating Water Watch. After that, Bill's going to make a few concluding remarks. Mona's going to provide some opportunities to do membership and things like that, and then it'll be time for lunch. So appreciate your attention during this time. Has anybody seen the movie The Princess Bride? Anybody know that movie? It's a great movie, one of the best movies ever. It's great for children of any age. Well, there's a part in the movie where the hero Wesley is tortured by the evil Count Rugen in a fit of despair, and he's killed. And Wesley's compatriots take him to Miracle Max, played by Billy Crystal, who's really great. And Billy Crystal looks at Wesley and he says, he asks the question, well, is he dead? Or is he dead? Because if he's already dead, that means he's a little bit alive. But if he's dead, there's nothing we can do. Well, a year ago, Bill stood before you just having heard that the EPA-funded grant, which had been in place for 19 years, roughly $150,000 a year, was no more. Congress drastically cut EPA's budget, and so those funds were no longer available through ADEM to support the program. And at the time, Bill was sort of like Miracle Max. We don't know if this grant is dead or if it's dead. So there was a great letter writing campaign. A number of you called and talked to the director of ADEM, letters to the editor. We even did a fundraising campaign to demonstrate the support around the state to show that Water Watch was really supported. Well, we're here a year later to let you know that the ADEM grant is dead. That's a humorous way of saying that it's gone and it's gone forever. So that's a $150,000 hole that's been created for Water Watch that has been the core that's allowed all this to flourish for nearly 20 years. So it's required us to ask a lot of hard questions and to face the facts of our current reality. And like any organism that wants to survive, it has to adapt. And so we have to adapt. And so that's really what great organizations do. They all go through tough times, and they do two things. They're willing to confront current reality and adapt to it while remaining hopeful about the future. And that's where we are, because in all of our conversations, we have not once come close to thinking, you know what, it may be time for us to close our doors. We're done as an organization. We don't feel that way at all. We remain not only hopeful, but confident that we can build a new model so that 20 years from now, people are still celebrating what Water Watch has been and is and continues to be for the next 20 years after that. I'll tell you that one of the facts of current reality is because of the budget cut, the program no longer has the funds to buy chemicals for monitors. And so in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we'll be sending letters out to everybody explaining that situation, how to buy chemicals directly from Lamont, and that we'll also provide some tips about how you might think about raising funds from local businesses or community organizations to help you protect the water that everybody benefits from. And there's a stopgap measure, the Water Watch Association, which is the nonprofit side of this, which of course is the board of directors, all the Water Watch members, and all our supporters, is going to step in. So if any monitor or any group is caught between a rock and a hard place, we weren't planning for this, and we really don't have the funds for the near term to make sure we can keep monitoring, the association will provide those funds over the short term so that, between now and figuring out a new way to finance the $80 a year per kit for chemicals, that we don't have to give up the monitoring. So we're going to do that. But we have 20 years. We've created a 20-year legacy of really meaningful things, and we're just not going to let that wither. Really, we really do feel that we are just getting started. But that really does mean that the association, again, the board of directors, the members, the supporters of Water Watch, the citizens of Alabama, really need to step up, because Water Watch is one of those organizations that, unlike the private sector by the business or the public sector government. You know, these not-for-profit, non-governmental organizations provide services that nobody else can provide. And our position is, if we can get out there and tell our story, we think that the people, the communities, the businesses in Alabama will agree with that. Because, you know, we've got this vast body of data, tens of thousands of points of data, that when they're gathered over the years and in such large volumes, you know, it becomes a lot of information. And when we study that information, it becomes knowledge. And with that knowledge, we have the power to act. And you've already heard, and you've got your own stories of all the ways people have acted on this body of knowledge. We recognize that this database, which is really the backbone of WaterWatch, is sort of like a high-powered NASCAR. It's very powerful, but just sitting there as a car, unless we drive it, it really doesn't do much for us. We can't win the race. And so WaterWatch is all about taking that data and putting it to action to protect the places that are special and to restore the places that have been harmed. And that's really what WaterWatch is all about, to empower the people of this state to take care of the places we know and love. And if you think about, you know, our whole democratic system and our form of government, and personally I think it's kind of a big mess right now, I think WaterWatch is one of the most powerful, healthy examples of citizens taking responsibility to take care of the places they know and love than any place I've seen in the 20 years I've been doing this kind of work. So it's something that as a group we should be very proud of, about where we are. Yes, sir. So our job, we feel like as a board of directors, our job is to get out around the state and tell this story to everybody and anybody who can help us make sure that the future of WaterWatch is secure. And when we ask ourselves the question, so how long are we going to have to do this? You know, how long do we have to go out and make the case? And by the way, we now have to make the case in part because it's ironic that 20 years of funding from ADEM meant we never really had to make the case. We had the funding, we just did the work. Well, we've got a compelling case, but now we have to start making it. And that's fine. It's just a new reality, but we're confident we've got a strong case to make. But how long are we going to have to do this? How long are we going to have to go out and tell our story to people around the state about why this matters? I'll answer that question with another question. How long are we as the citizens of Alabama going to have to care about water quality? How long are we going to have to be watchdogs about protecting the places that are special? And how long are we going to have to take the responsibility to restore the places that have been harmed? How long? Forever. That's right. It means that there's no time we can rest from this task. There's no time we can say, hey, we can wait to shore because we've got it done. When I was in grad school, I had the opportunity to hear David Brower speak twice. I don't know if you know David Brower's name, but he was a real leading light in the 20th century in terms of environmental conservation and protection, a passionate advocate for natural places and for the present and future generations that want to enjoy them. And he said something I will never forget, and it's something that I'm sure you all know, this won't surprise you, but I think it's a powerful reminder about why what we do is so important. He said, environmental battles are never battles you can win forever. You could lose them forever, but you can never win them forever. He said, because you can save that forest, that wetland, that river today, but tomorrow and use a cuss word, we have children that won't use it, but he said, tomorrow the bad guys are going to be back, and they're going to give it another shot at destroying that river, that watershed, that mountain. And so the vigilance we're talking about and the work that Alabama WaterWatch does to enable us to do this work is going to be necessary forever. So we can consider that inspiring, daunting, whatever we want, but we really don't have a choice if we want to, you know, keep things special and make things that have been harmed special again. And if you think about, you know, what Alabama might be like without WaterWatch, it's sort of like the movie It's a Wonderful Life. So much has happened because WaterWatch has been in existence because of what you and every other monitor and supporter of WaterWatch has done, but it's made a tremendous difference. And so, you know, we're really asking people, our current friends, and to really broaden our base of support, to really do two things. to stay involved and get involved with Water Watch, become a monitor, do the environmental education, the advocacy work, take on restoration projects. And, you know, we're an economic organization with a social good mission. We just don't have a profit mission, but it requires money to run it. And so it means memberships, it means large gifts, it means estate planning, it means putting us, and maybe this is the biggest thing you can do for us as far as being members, is put us in touch with folks so we can tell our story. Because if we can get in front of people, we know we can generate the support to make sure that this forever really does happen. And that's so we can do two things. We can continue to monitor, educate, restore, and broaden our reach geographically and demographically. And we can do a better job at the data to action piece. We can do more trainings, more workshops, more initiatives to help people use the data, this high-powered NAS side that's sitting there, and drive it to accomplish the kinds of things that we need to do. Last thing I want to say is that, you know, every day the decisions we make create the future. Whether we think about it or not, or realize it or not, individually and collectively, we are creating the future. And so for the past 20 years, Water Watch has been creating a better future. I was at the Alabama Wildlife Federation a few years ago, and they were talking about the number of bald eagles that were nesting in Alabama, and what a great celebration it was. And I got thinking about what happened 50 years ago when Rachel Carson wrote Silent Spring. And she started looking at this in the late 50s and wrote that book in 1962. She was wondering what the world would look like in 50 years. There's no question that Rachel Carson had not written that book, had taken all that data, and it was the data in that book that made Silent Spring so powerful. If she had not written that book, we would have no bald eagles today. We would have no osprey. There would be no birds of prey, and who knows what else. So what she did 50 years ago created a future that we live in as our present. And what we're doing in Water Watch is creating a future that we and our children will live in the present. So, you know, when you think, God, go out and monitor, or just merely making a difference, you know, should I really make the effort to go ask my neighbor to join Water Watch? Every one of these decisions added up makes a powerful difference for the future. And as I said, I've done this work. When I was in grad school, I started being involved with citizen water quality monitoring. And so I feel like, you know, for whatever it's worth, I have some perspective on this kind of initiative. And what's happening here in Alabama, you know, this is really the state of the art. And you all and the Water Watch staff, starting with Bill, have an awful lot to be proud of. And so there's so much here for us to save and nurture and grow, and I'm just grateful to be a part of it. So thank you for doing everything you're doing.